welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Today we're going to talk about two very important topics, heart attacks and strokes. And with me right now are two very dear friends, Gina Miller and also Jonny Roberts. And you both have experienced something this past year. Jonny, you've had a heart attack. Gina, you've had a stroke, and this has been your second stroke. And here's the thing. We don't always see the signs with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to share your stories and what to look out for and give some information. Gina, when did you have this last stroke?
The last stroke was actually while I was singing the national anthem on June 24th. And the reason I'm doing so well is because I got to the hospital right away, and they do TPA, which is it's basically a clot buster. And time is of essence. You got to get to the hospital right away because there's a certain time frame that you have to be in to meet the criteria to get the TPA.
Okay. Now you knew that you were probably having a stroke because you've had one before. So you literally were in front of an audience of people before a concert.
Well,
singing.
It was for the showdown.
Okay, it was singing the national anthem. Tell us what happened, how this felt, what you knew.
Well, when I first got there, I actually did not feel right. But, sometimes people, you just don't know. It was hot, so I racked it up to it being hot. I was rushing around. But then when I got up on the stage, and I managed to get through, I think, the first line or so. And I got really bad chest pain.
Okay.
Shot up my neck, and my head started pounding. And I got really confused. I was stuttering. I always have, every song that I sing, even if it's a national anthem, all of them, I always have the words on the ground, just in case, you have a moment.
Right.
So I always leave it there, but I never use it.
Mm-hmm.
And that day, I literally started bending down trying to look at the words because I was getting so confused. They wouldn't come out. I kept repeating the I don't know which line it was on the song, but I just kept repeating. And then I managed to get through the song. I gave the mic back to Rich, and I went off stage, and I started getting numbness. I was getting tingly and numbness on my left side. And then when my husband walked over, I just looked at him, and I said, he knew.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me in the car, and I was in the car like 4 minutes. And I said, I'm getting numb. I'm having a stroke.
Yeah.
So we went right to Effort, and we should have pulled over and called the ambulance. I should have called the ambulance this is important, and I'm admitting, I'm a nurse, and I'm guilty of this. I should have let them call the ambulance at the site. But, I just was mortified from having the stroke in front of everybody, and then I didn't want to, I couldn't take any more, drama.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
My husband said, we need to call the ambulance, and I said, if you call the ambulance, I'm going to pop a vessel. Don't call. But that is the wrong thing to do. You should call the ambulance all the time. If you feel like something's going on, you have to call the ambulance. You need to get to the hospital.
So when you said when you got there, you didn't feel right, how would you describe that not feeling right at that particular moment?
I felt, I had a little bit of, I think it was a little dizzy. And I racked it up. I didn't drink enough today.
Okay.
I'm making up excuses in my head.
Sure.
This is what a lot of people do. It's denial. You have a heart attack. You're in denial. When anything happens, you're in denial. You don't want to be sick. Nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to have a problem. Mm-hmm. So I think you start making up things in your head like I didn't drink enough. I didn't eat enough. It's hot. So and I'm a nurse. I should know better.
So how was this different from the first stroke, or was it different?
The first stroke, I started out with a headache first.
Okay.
I had a really bad headache, and I thought I was getting a migraine. And it was slower. It was slower moving. This time, the symptoms were different. I had chest pain, which we kind of didn't really figure that out. But it turns out I have a hole in my heart that I have to get patched. So there was probably a little clot sitting there. And when I started singing, I blew out the clot.
Right.
And it went right up the carotid artery, up the aorta and the carotid artery. And
how many years before was the first stroke?
My first stroke was in 2017.
Okay.
And this is in this 2022. So.
Yeah. Jonny.
Yes.
You had a heart attack. Now, here's the thing. You have been working on so many things to get yourself in shape. Tell us what you've been working on.
Beginning of the year, I decided that I was just going to change my whole journey around with my health journey. I had missed my colonoscopy, all that stuff. I thought I'm going to take care of everything this the beginning of this year. I had quit smoking about 3 years ago, and I wanted to make sure the rest of me checked out. My father died at 45 of a heart attack. And I got through, like, of course, the 45. When you turn 45, I'm thinking about it, and then I was just like, I'm okay. But then for whatever reason, beginning of the year, I went to through an MDVIP program. They do a whole battery of tests. It's very, like, I thought, all inclusive. Sending everything out to the Cleveland Clinic, which they're amazing out there, and I had a little bit, like a little bit of cholesterol, not a lot, nothing to be worried about, to the point that they didn't even put me on medicine. It was just going to try and control it with diet, and then a little bit of for blood sugar, just so I was put on metformin, and I just started working on my. I wanted to get that down, that my blood sugar down, or A1C, and lowered that by 2.4 points. Lost 20 pounds. I walk my boys. I have 2 standard poodles. Walk them every day, rain, snow, whatever. 30 minutes up like a hill, all this stuff. So I thought, like, wow, I'm really doing this. Everything came back great from the colonoscopy. I don't know. I just thought everything was going fine. And so when I went up to my family's house up in Columbia County, I was going to cut down these weeds on a bank, and I made sure I took water. I had watermelon. I had all this stuff. I was good to go. Like, even though it was going to be a hot day, I was prepared for it.
Right.
And I took breaks throughout, and I didn't remember feeling, I was just sort of like anxious going up there. There's a long story there, but I was just like, I'm just, maybe a little stressed over that. Well, a lot stressed, but, and now I'm just working. All of a sudden I started to feel this tightness. And I'm thinking, like, oh, I got indigestion. Going back to what you said about you're going to come up with all these excuses to cover it. And I've been to the hospital like 2 times in the past 20-some years where I thought I was having a heart attack. I drove myself to one time, and then also I had a friend driving the second one, but just trying to keep it all low key.
Right.
And it always turned out that I was just overstressed. It was just anxiety.
Where was the tightness for you?
The tightness was like right here.
In the front?
Yeah, so it started off as tightness, then it switched to pain. And so when it switched to pain, that's when I started thinking, like, I think I'm going to just drive myself to the hospital. Then let me, like, clear up everything, because I had the car and I'm all away from home. I'm all by myself. I'm like, let me just put everything in the car and then I'll go. And then I just thought, like, you know what, I need to take a break. Let me just sit down. Maybe that's going to help me. And I told you that, like, how I sat down, just all of a sudden it hit me right out of the blue. It was like, you're having a heart attack, call 911.
Right.
And at that point, the pain was shooting like right through here, and then it was mirrored kind of on my back and between my shoulder blades in the same spot. And that was completely different from the other 2 times, and that's why I was like, okay, this isn't good. So let's calm down, keep yourself cool. Let's, get everything into the car, and then you'll drive yourself. But this voice kept just saying, no, you're having a heart attack, call 911. So finally I was like, all right, I'll put everything in the car, then I'll call 911. So, and I kept on delaying it. Like,
right.
And then I went up that final time I was like almost ready, and it's like, oh my gosh, the hedge trimmer. So I went back and got the hedge trimmer off the bank, and as I picked it up, that's when I was like, there's another story that's too long, but it was, I got to call 911. So I put everything into the car, called 911, had to call them twice just because I needed to there was some stuff that was going on with that, but the EMTs got there, and that was good. And actually, I got to also give props to the codes officer up in Catawissa. I talked to him on the phone. I never met him. He was driving by, saw me on the ground, and just stopped and just said, backed up, wind the window down, Johnny Roberts? And I was just like, who the hell is this? And he just said, we talked on the phone, and are you okay? And I was like, no, I'm having a heart attack, and there's an ambulance in the way. And he goes, oh my God, let me park and I'll sit with you. So he stayed, and the EMTs, again, they immediately, as soon as they got there, and I told them about, like, I thought I was going to drive myself to the hospital, they were like, you are having a massive heart attack, you have a blockage, and it's a good thing that you didn't drive, because you wouldn't have made it, and I would have been on the side of the road, they would have been trying to find me, it could have caused an accident to someone else. And yeah, there's a certain amount of pride, or like, and I don't want to like cause a big fuss or anything, but when the realization hit me, like a few days later, even, like, I would have driven to the wrong hospital even.
Oh, wow.
That would have, like, that's really like, okay, don't mess around, find out what the signs are, get it taken care of. Again, put money into your EMTs because our EMT in the town that I was in had closed.
Yeah.
So I had to wait a little bit longer for the other ones to come. And the job that they do is just so fantastic. What they have to, like, they don't know what they're going to, like show up and what's going to be there. And they just covered it perfectly, got me to the right hospital that had an amazing cath lab. And just as I was coming in, like, in the ambulance, I knew it was okay because just how they were talking about it. But just getting to the hospital and seeing, like, that team of 10 to 12 people just waiting.
Right.
And it was like being, like I told you, it was like, oh my God, I'm like on Chicago Med. And,
Right, I know.
And everything is going to be okay. And they had the stent put in within 20 minutes for me getting there. And they just kept on pushing, like, you only had 90 minutes. Like, from when it started to, like, get that stent put in, you only had 90 minutes for us to save you.
Yep.
And I was like 65 minutes is what they figured it out. I still had heart damage, but stuff that I could recover from. But I think heart attacks are going to be feeling different for every person.
Right.
So you got to know your body. You got to go with your inner gut, and you also got to, like, know all of the signs.
Yeah.
I mean, because it might be different for each person, and it might be different the next time that happens to me.
Yeah.
But luckily, I had that voice that just said, you know,
Wow.
you're having a heart attack.
Good that you called 911, and it's
Yep.
good that you both responded the way you did. We're going to take a brief pause. When we come back, we're going to give you some more information. Please stay with us.
LCTV 66 is your community channel, and your donations keep us on the air and help to produce more local programs. Send your tax-deductible donation of $500, $100, or more to the address on the screen. Or think of it this way: for the price of a couple of movie tickets, you can help support your community channel. Send what you can and be a part of all that is good about Lancaster County. Thank you for your tax-deductible donation to LCTV 66, Lancaster's Connection.
Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about heart attacks and strokes, what to look for, and once again, we're with Gina and we're with Jonny, and we're talking about your experiences. If you're just joining us, Jonny just recently had a heart attack. Gina just recently had her second stroke. So now, life after this. Gina.
Well, like I said, I was at the hospital very quickly, and they started the TPA, the clot buster. I was in ICU for a couple days, and then I stayed in-house at Ephrata. They were wonderful, and they had me in their in-house rehab, and the physical therapy started.
Right.
So, because when you have a stroke, I'm sure everybody's aware, but you lose strength and mobility on your left or right side. It depends where you've had the stroke in your
So it
head.
can be either side.
Yes, it can be either
Okay.
side, but I had mine was on the right side of my brain. And so it affected my left side. So
Okay.
it crisscrosses.
Okay.
So with TPA, with that clot buster, you have a very good chance of gaining all, everything back again. So I'm getting there. I'm walking. I'm doing very well. I started out with a walker, and then I went to a cane, and now I'm walking, obviously. Okay, but I still have strength issues on my left side. I'm still not up to speed with the strength, but I continue to walk and
Right.
and do everything. And I have to get the hole patched to my heart because
Yeah.
that was the culprit. So
Yeah. So you will eventually get more movement, more strength.
well, they said I should come back 100%. I mean, I might not get all the way up to 100%, but I mean, I might still have a little bit of weakness on that side. But
But you'd never know.
you never know. You just
But the thing is, you'd never know looking at you now that you've had this and been
Right.
through that. And Jonny, and what you've gone through, what do you have to change?
Well, continuing on the health journey that I had started at the beginning of the year, and I decided to go with the cardiotherapy that they have over at the health campus. There's 36 visits. They're going to teach me how to do the right exercises, and then I can just continue on. I already have a gym membership that I can just transfer all those exercises right over to there. They're keeping track of my blood pressure and stuff as I'm doing all the exercises. They also have educational classes on what to look for in the future, how to take better care of yourself, and controlling all the outside issues that can complicate it or lead to a second heart attack. Like you, there was heart damage. I didn't realize that people don't use 100% of their heart. It's like 55%, I think, or 60%.
Okay.
So I'm at 42%, but 3 months they said doing all these things I could get back up to where I was at beforehand.
So some of the factors that may lead to this, does stress play? It's huge, right?
Stress is huge.
Number one.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
definitely number one. And I was under a lot of stress. You know, I'm a nurse. I
Yep.
do, you know, I got a busy life. I got 2 kids getting married.
Yeah. So we really have to take care of ourselves,
Yes.
especially in that way.
Cholesterol. Got to
Yes,
keep
that's
a
the
handle
number
on your
one.
cholesterol. Got to keep a
Diabetes.
handle on your stress. Diabetes. You know, even I mean, I have this. So I don't know if you can see it, but it's a monitor for your.
Oh, okay.
You know, the little dot. Mm-hmm. You know, I
Right.
can check keep an eye on my blood sugars. Diabetes is has to be under control. Exercise.
Yeah.
And whatever you can do to relieve stress. I don't care what you do. If you like music, if you walk, if you know, whatever you can to relieve stress.
We're not going to get rid of stress. Let's face it. I mean,
Right.
that's
you
impossible.
can control it.
But we control it and how we deal with it. I think that's the key. Is like, how do we handle the stress? And we have to grab stress by the horns and take care of it. And just know that we're never going to probably eliminate it 100%. But if we know how to cope with it and we know how to like deal with it. It'll just help in the long run, just with everything. Actually, all your ailments, because stress is usually at the base of everything.
It is, isn't it? It really wreaks havoc on the
Some
body.
people have stomach problems. Some people have headaches all the time.
Right.
You know, it just attacks
Yeah.
your body.
Yeah, and that is something we really have to hone in on, taking care of
And it's the
ourselves.
hardest thing. You could do like everything else and
Yeah.
still have that stress. And,
Yep.
and that's the number one thing for me. And that's what they drilled into my head at the hospital was like, your stress level. And mine is pretty much work. But again, it's marketing. So I always thought I had it under control, but I guess I don't. So I have to like learn better. So yeah.
Gina, you have more information you want to share.
I was going to say for strokes that there's a word that you can remember. It's called be fast. So you want to, if you have balance problems, this is how you can tell with somebody. If you're with your uncle, your aunt, a friend, if you're noticing bouncing problems, dizziness, stumbling, eyesight issues, they might have double vision. It might not be clear. There's facial drooping. You can ask them to repeat a simple sentence and see if they can get it out. If it's a confused statement, then they might be having a stroke. You'll see facial drooping on one or the other side, and have them smile. If somebody smiles and it goes crooked, arm weakness,
Right.
And the speech. Obviously, my speech was like a mess because I couldn't get words out. You know, it's crucial to get to the hospital. I can't emphasize that enough, to get to the hospital and get the care that you need right away.
Just call 911.
Yes, call 911 and get to the hospital.
Don't wait, yeah.
Right, don't wait.
Is there a site, a website, or anything you want to send us
There is.
to?
I think I wrote it.
What was it,
I wrote
stroke?
it on your, there's a stroke website.
Stroke.org.
Stroke.org.
Yep.
And the heart one.
Heart.org. It
Yes.
doesn't get much easier
Just
than
for
that.
information. Just for information. And then from there, that could stem off to local sites
Yeah.
that you can get information from if you want to learn more about it. But
Sure.
you need to keep your health.
Absolutely.
Work with your doctor.
Yes.
Definitely go to the doctor and get all the tests that you should be. As we get older, there's different things we have to do. So
Yeah.
And you don't have to be old either. Young
No,
people
you
have
really
heart
don't.
attacks.
That's
No.
true.
You
So you
don't
brought
feel-
along.
Yeah, I brought along the heart.
Tell us about this.
So this is so old, it's probably dusty. But you have your 4 chambers in the heart. This one doesn't open up this side, but there's 4 chambers. You have your atria up top and your ventricles in the bottom, and then you have your coronary arteries. I don't know if you can see this, but you have your coronary arteries. You have your right and your left side of the heart, and you had your heart attack on the
Yep.
left side. So Johnny has a stent in here in this vessel. What happens is I don't know if you can see that picture, but your arteries start getting filled with gunk. If you have high cholesterol, if your diet's not really good, and it could be genetic. I mean, some people, they beat themselves up, and they're healthy, they exercise every day, they do everything right, and they still have heart issues. But some people have very bad genetics.
Is there a percentage with that genetic that
Off
we'd
the
be
top
looking
of my
at?
head,
or-
I don't know what the percentage
Okay.
is, but
All right.
I'm sure it's on the site, but
Okay.
off the top of my head, I just
Okay.
don't know the percentage. But once these become blocked, then it basically stops the blood supply into getting into the heart, and that's when you have a heart attack.
And there's other issues now too, like just modern day issues that will happen that you can like aggravate the, like say for mine, since I had that little branch off that we had talked about, that it was
Right.
just kind of laying on the top of it, and something else came along and triggered the acceleration so fast that
Your blood pressure, maybe? What's your blood pressure at?
it was way up high. There, I tested positive for COVID when I was
Okay.
at the hospital, so I had no symptoms, had no idea about it, and it was
Wow.
just like they were just, to me, it's just like. The rest of my arteries were fine. It was
Yeah.
just that one little spot, and it just seemed to accelerate it and then blocked, like really fast.
Wow.
So now sleep-wise, I sleep much better. It seems weird. Like there's
Yeah.
so having the stent in. I don't know. It's having actually the blood getting into the heart and getting the oxygen, because that's the most crucial piece. Because when it's blocked, you're not getting oxygen.
Yeah.
And so my sleep is better. I feel more refreshed when I wake up.
Wow.
So
That's
if you're
great.
having that could be like another warning sign. If your sleep is like kind of being interrupted and you're not, a lot of people usually just think about like a CPAC or something like that. It could be a sign of something else.
Okay.
You just got to talk to your doctors and
Yeah.
communicate. Communicate with your doctors what's
Yeah.
going on.
Tell them everything.
your health.
I mean, don't
Yeah.
lie. I mean,
Right.
they're not going to help you if you're like
Right.
not telling them
Right.
everything.
Right. Okay, so the sites we want to send everybody to are stroke.org and heart.org, just to start to do some information. I would like a final thought from each of you. Gina, what would you like to leave us with about this?
My stress is my big thing. I think people don't realize how much stress impacts the body. And I'm not saying that all the other things related, smoking, diabetes, being overweight, they all impact your health.
Yeah.
But take time to smell the roses. Just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Every day. And the sun's still going to come up tomorrow.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't have to have all these things done exactly
No.
when we think
Right.
we need to, because everything has sped up.
Yes.
Oh,
And we
so
expect this
fast.
immediate
Yes.
response. Johnny, give me a final thought.
Gosh, I just feel like saying ditto, but it's like,
Yeah.
it sounds funny, but it's trying to get the stress under control. Find one thing that can bring you joy. Because remember, like when you're like facing death, you want to be able to you want to feel good about like the life that you led. And you want to feel that calm. So try and find that calm before you get to that moment.
Yeah.
So,
And I think when you and I were talking, we had lunch, you were telling me some of these things were going through your head at that
oh
time.
yeah.
And there was a calm that you did have with an acceptance of some things too.
Oh yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
life, and it was like
Yeah.
I was ready, but yet it was like I don't think it's my time. But
Right.
if I have to
Yeah.
go, I have to go, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So
I am so glad you both are here. I'm so glad you're both literally here today to share your stories again. Thank you for the information, and we all need to take care of and support each other. So remember to call 911 when there's an issue, but do these things that we can do to take care of our bodies.
Take
yeah,
care of your body.
Take care of your bodies.
Absolutely, because then it's also mind and spirit, and it all connects.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines, reminding you to look behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.